At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Happy Wednesday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. You're watching Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 6:30, taking a live shot from our divine sky cam. And boy, this is a beautiful shot this morning. Not a cloud in the sky, at least from this image and from this view here, looking out at Mount Shasta. You can see some of the beautiful colors, and we're kind of past that peak of that beautiful sunrise. You can see the fairly calm waters right now over the Sacramento River. So a beautiful start to the morning, a cool start in some spots, but otherwise fairly mild. There you can see temperatures generally in the mid to even some upper 50s for the valley. Look at the mountains. Look at the mountains right now. We're at 52 degrees for Alturas, 57 in Susanville. So definitely a more mild start to the day than we've seen over the last few mornings. We're talking low 50s right now out along the coast. Let's get you into your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Wednesday, May 13th. This is your skeeter meter for the week of May 11th. It's low on the scale. There's some advice on helping to kind of keep some of that standing water off of your property from the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control District. Now, you can also, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns for your property or where you're living, you can call the number on your screen and they should be able to answer any questions for you. All right, let's get you out the door this morning. Yeah, we're talking mainly sunny skies. Still some low clouds along the coast this morning, but otherwise temperatures generally on the mild side this morning as we saw those current temperatures. Now, the cold front has pushed on through. Not much of an impact. The winds had picked up a little bit here yesterday afternoon and evening, but that's all shifted off to the east. Most of the rain has been to our north. There's been a little bit of shower activity in the extreme eastern portions of the mountains, say extreme eastern Modoc and even Lassen County, even a few sprinkles and light showers along parts of the coast as well, but that's it. And that was pretty much expected. It's a fairly weak system. It's been really mainly impacting the Pacific Northwest. Now for today, there still will be some clouds left over for the North Coast, but I do think there'll be some breaks in those clouds even this morning. Much more mild day today. We're talking low 80s in the valley. Absolutely gorgeous out there. Looks like about 83 degrees for Redding, 85 in Chico, 60s and 70s for the higher elevations, and around 60, give or take, for the coast. Now for tonight, we're talking mid-50s for the valley, and I do expect 30s and 40s for the higher elevations, and somewhere in the mid to upper 40s tonight for the coast. Now we have a bit of a roller coaster ride with those temperatures. They're going up and down. Today, beautiful, right? Temperatures have dropped. They're going back up to about 90, upper 80s, low 90s for Thursday, Friday, before we drop back down into the low to mid 80s for the weekend. Yeah, this low to mid 80s this weekend. And then temperatures increasing again for your Monday and Tuesday of next week. So there's that roller coaster ride I was talking about. Temperatures in the upper 50s, low 60s for the next 7 days for the coast. Inland, Trinity County, Siskiyou County, Modoc County, all in the eastern mountains. All of these areas also getting in on that roller coaster ride with your temperatures going up and down. Cooler this weekend, warming back up again going into early next week. All right, let's get into that fire weather forecast. We're kind of in that season, right? So we just need to keep you updated with some of the things that we're tracking as far as fire weather is concerned. Main things that we look at: winds, humidity, all of that. And of course, temperatures can also have an impact. So today, yeah, the wind's picking up a little bit. Nothing unusual, a little breezy later on this afternoon, but nothing to be concerned about. Now, what I am concerned about is progressively getting stronger with those north-northwest winds, especially for the valley over the next few days, and especially going into the weekend. Now, coming up in our deeper dive forecast, we're going to talk about an inside slider that's going to impact our fire weather risk later this weekend. But in the meantime, the fire weather risk is fairly low. When we're looking at the greens and yellows, that's pretty much the low category. Mainly within that slightly elevated risk going into your Thursday because the temperatures are increasing and those winds are picking up. That's also the case on Friday. And even though we're expecting gusty winds on Saturday, with the temperatures dropping, we're mainly going to stay in that low category for your Saturday. But that may change by Sunday, as I expect most likely even some stronger winds at that point. But that's going a bit ways out, so we'll kind of keep a closer eye on that. In the meantime, we take a look at some of the cameras out there once again, looking at our Divine Sky Cam, a live view there. overlooking the Sacramento River. This is looking at Lake Oroville. Looks like things are fairly calm over the lake there. Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Looks like traffic is slowing along there. We've got plenty of sunshine here. That's also the case for Highway 99 at Neal Road this morning. There's a look at Crescent City Harbor District. Usually when you got those clouds out there in the morning, you got just a beautiful look at some of the colors out there. And as you can see, there is some clearing that we are seeing for parts of the coast. So yeah, that marine layer is kind of backing off a little bit here. And we still have some of that marine layer, some of those clouds kind of hovering over Hoopa Valley, Bald Hill West right now. This is also kind of a response to that cold front that kind of pushed on through, and it did bring in some of those clouds here last night and, of course, this morning. Looking out at Mount Shasta, boy, I tell you what, it's looking more and more bare, right? Because we're seeing a lot of that snow begin to melt on the mountain, and unfortunately, we're kind of past that point where we're going to see much more snow on top of that mountain in the weeks to come. Taking a look at Scott Valley this morning, you've got the mainly clear skies over the valley with plenty of sunshine. And there's a look at Lassen Park, and boy, you look off at the snow in the mountains there, that's getting more bare. And of course, you can walk without slipping and sliding on the ice and snow out at the Visitor Center this morning. Taking a look at Wind River, of course, they are the sponsor of Coffee with Krueger. That is, Coffee with Krueger would not be possible without Wind River Resort Casino, our sponsors. Now, some of the things going on, at least what their next event will be the 12th annual Bacon and Brew Fest. That's going to be Friday, June 19th from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. Forget everything you know about food. Experience a delightful fusion where local brews meet every bacon creation imaginable, from savory appetizers and satisfying entrees to mind-blowing bacon desserts. Yes, you heard me right, desserts as well. So you can get your tickets early. And this is one of those things where if you really want to experience this, I highly recommend you purchase your tickets early to make sure that you can get to the event. All right, so again, I want to thank Wind River for their support. Let's get into your weather headlines. So we've got a nice temperature drop today. You're going to notice it. Temperature is much more pleasant this afternoon, even for the valley. But we've got that roller coaster ride. Temperatures are increasing, decreasing again by the weekend, increasing again early next week. Gusty winds. That's something we're going to be watching not only this week, but I'm even more concerned with those winds coming up later on this weekend. And rain, not looking very promising at all. So we get into our deeper dive forecast. And let's start with taking a look at those current temperatures out there right now, because it's pretty mild. I mean, even in the mountains, you're looking at 40s and even 50s right now. So again, a very mild start to the day, low 50s for the coast, mid to upper 50s right now in the valley. Starting off fairly warm, but again, keep in mind, it's not going to be as warm as it has been over the last few days. And that's all thanks to this area of low pressure right here. You see it spinning right here. That's what's moving through. We saw an initial boundary move through last night. That brought a few sprinkles, light showers for parts of the north coast and even the mountains just in the east. Places like eastern Modoc, eastern Lassen County, for example. That's all shifting eastward. And as a result, we're going to dry things out. So I don't expect any rainfall today. That, unfortunately, as we look at the long range, looks drier than normal coming in from the Climate Prediction Center and warmer than normal as well. So it's going to be warm and dry. So there's that cooler air riding to our north, giving us the cooler temperatures today. Now, high pressure is going to be a flat ridge. Typically, when you have a ridge, you have a big arc like this, and that's when those temperatures really warm up. What's happening is we got these disturbances and storms up over the Gulf of Alaska to our north. That's riding over that ridge and taking it and just flattening it out. Now, as a result, yes, we're still looking at warm temperatures, and not as warm as they could be, should this be allowed to develop into a standard dome of high pressure. But in the meantime, we also have a bit of that zonal flow type pattern. Now, typically with these zonal flow type patterns, if this would happen in the middle of the winter, we'd be looking at a series of storms kind of pushing through, giving us rainfall and keeping those temperatures fairly cool. However, we don't have any storms really out there that are going to give us any rainfall, so that's why we're going to stay dry and warmer for your Friday and Saturday. Now, this is something I've been talking about over the last few days, and it's this right here. We got a trough low pressure. So the first thing is, yeah, it's going to cool off a bit again over the weekend. Temperatures back in the low to mid 80s in the valley. But the other thing is, this is a classic what we call an inside slider. It's when we have a trough of low pressure come in from the north and west, move south and east, so it's to our north and east. It's a classic setup because you've got low pressure toward north and east, high pressure over the Pacific, eastern Pacific, that is, and it puts a little squeeze plate. You see these white lines, this is what we call isobars. When they're tightly packed, that's when you have really strong winds. And we're looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is the level of where the jet stream typically is. So we've got that jet stream. So when you have strong winds above you, a lot of times that can translate to gusty winds at the surface as well. And this is going to give us most likely a very strong gusty north wind by Sunday. That's going to elevate the fire weather risk, unfortunately. Now, really the silver lining is the fact that it's bringing in cooler air too. So, you know, some of the main elements that we have to look at are winds, right? We got that. Low humidity, yeah, the humidity will be low, but the humidity could be lower if the temperatures were much warmer. So instead of, say, the single digits with our humidity levels, they'll be more like the mid-teens. That's still low, don't get me wrong, but it could be lower and it could be worse. So there's at least that silver lining. But then, as I mentioned, as we go into Monday, Tuesday of next week, that pattern shifts eastward. Winds will subside, but temperatures will increase. So there's that roller coaster ride going up around 90, back down to about 80 Saturday, Sunday, back up again, right? That roller coaster ride I was talking about. Interesting is we kind of haven't seen 100 degrees yet. I was actually talking to someone, oh, it seems like it's getting hotter than it has been. Well, we haven't hit 100 degrees yet, that's for sure. You know, the earliest we've ever hit at Reading, at least, was May 4th, 1992, where we saw 100 degrees. And of course, if you go beyond that to 110 degrees or higher, that was not until June 5th. Don't think we're going to get anywhere near that, or even near 100 degrees, at least through next week. Although it's going to be pretty warm. I mean, you saw that mid-90s, mid to even some upper 90s for some of the warmer spots, but not quite 100 degrees for next week. Lake levels are still looking pretty good. We're still seeing some minor increases for Lake Oroville, only 3 feet from the crest. Right, so 99% full right now, at least for Lake Oroville, and about 90% for Shasta Lake and Trinity Lake as well. So yeah, still very healthy, but the snowpack not looking good. A lot of times as we go into these late spring and early summer months, we at least still have a lot of that snowpack to melt into the lakes. It's not much at this point. A lot of it's already melted. All right, so there you can see we do have some fairly low wave heights. We're not seeing much change over the next 24 hours, so nothing to be too terribly concerned about there. We don't have any small craft advisories. Winds will be from the northwest at about 5 knots. All right, so here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. Let's start off with Trinity County, where we've got temperatures mainly in the 70s. Western and southern Trinity County, more like the mid-60s. But really what you'll notice as you look at the 7-day forecast across the region, we're looking at that roller coaster ride. Temperatures, for the most part, are dropping today. They're going back up Thursday, Friday, dropping back down this weekend, going back up as we go into Monday, Tuesday of next week. That's the case for everyone, including the coast. All right, take a look at Modoc County, 68 degrees for Canby, 67 degrees in Fort Bidwell. Temperatures going up and down. Eastern Mountains, 71 degrees for Fall River Mills, 77 in Susanville, and 76 for Paradise today. Your Valley neighborhood forecast, up and down, right? So down today, back up for your Thursday and Friday. As you can clearly see that on the 7-day forecast for Chico. Back down to the low to mid-80s by the weekend. Back up in the 90s by Monday, Tuesday of next week. 83 for Reading, 84 degrees for Red Bluff, 83 in Palisadro and Whiskeytown, about 79 degrees. So here's your 7-day forecast for Reading. Temperatures are dropping down again into the low 80s by the weekend. We'll certainly take that. Very pleasant for, I don't know, there's a big rodeo going on this weekend, Reading Rodeo, for example, right? So you got that going on. Should be some pleasant weather for that. But windy. Especially on Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday, you're going to be talking about some warmer temperatures again, back up to about 90 degrees and higher for Monday and Tuesday of next week. So that's kind of what it's looking like right now. I'd say this, the main thing that I'm really going to be tracking here this week is going to be those winds, because the winds on Sunday, we got that inside slider. We're just kind of entering into the fire season. We don't have a ton of fuels right now. That's good. We still have a lot of the grasses are still green, but we're beginning to see more and more of those grasses turning more brown, right? Where they're starting to kind of dry out a bit. So we're going to start to see, especially as we get more of these wind events, as we start seeing more of these north winds, that tends to just suck out any moisture we have in the atmosphere and in any of the fuels as well. So these north wind events are just kind of setting the stage for the fire season to come, in a sense. So we've just got to continue to monitor these winds. We've seen fires. We've already seen fires, especially in Siskiyou County. I know there was one out in Shasta County yesterday evening. So it's happening, right? We're beginning to see, you know, a fire here, a fire there, when they're going to become a little bit more frequent, unfortunately, as we start getting into the hotter and drier months. We're getting there. We're getting closer. All right, we have got a couple people checking in this morning. We got to, of course, address them. We got Jeff Johnson saying, "Good morning, Mike. What is the wind going to be like for Happy Valley and area today and tomorrow?" So today, not that bad. A little bit on the breezy side. You saw that on the forecast. The winds are going to be a bit stronger coming in from the northwest tomorrow, 20, 25 miles per hour. So that should hopefully answer your question there. And we've got Curtis Brown saying, "Good morning, Mike. The wind yesterday helped keep the temperatures a little cooler than expected." That is true. Yeah, it was certainly a warm day, but in some cases, yeah, the wind certainly did help. So thank you for that report, Curtis. I appreciate that. And I hope you all are having a great start to your, what is today, Wednesday? Yeah, it's hump day. It's the middle of the week, and we're getting ready to kind of wrap up the week as we go into Thursday and Friday, and unfortunately, it's going to be warming back up again. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning. I hope you had yourself a great morning, and we will see you tomorrow morning right here on Coffee with Krueger. In the meantime, have a great day.